Hey, how's it going? Got a short one for you today, talking about an interesting ammo brand from Lithuania that's popped up for sale on a few sites. GGG, or maybe just GGG. Triple G, whatever. The name stands for, Geraitės
ginkluotės gamykla.
Yeah, that. Or translated to the Geraitė Armament Factory. I picked up some of their 223 a couple months ago because it was cheap, and I noticed a few interesting things right off the bat. Firstly, their 223 brass is annealed. Annealing is rare on 223 loads, but very common on military 5.56 loadings, so it's weird in a good way that these cases have been annealed. For those unaware, annealing is that discoloration around the mouth of the brass that causes the brass to be a little more softer and be less likely to crack. That discoloration is a result of the heat applied during the annealing process and is not just exclusive to brass, for those wondering. The second thing I noticed is that the packaging is pretty plain and the ammo is sold in boxes of 50. There are no dividers or holders included, which helps keep the price down. And thirdly, holy shit, this is some spicy 223. I clocked it going about the same velocity as PMC M193. So, after discovering all of these things, I figured I might as well pick up some of the Triple G actual labeled 5.56 loads and see what the difference is, if any, between them and the 223. So, to test, I pulled out my Caldwell chronograph, and I tested both my 10.3-inch barreled SBR and my 20-inch Fallout service rifle build. I would have tested a 16-inch barrel as well, but to put it plainly, I forgore. On both weapons I tested, I had my Dead Air Sandman K can attached, but if you saw my video on suppressors and velocity, you'd know it hardly makes a difference in the results. So, what velocities did we get? And just to be clear, I fired between 5 and 6 shots and took the averages for the averages, so not all of them were just 5 rounds. Out of the 10.3-inch barrel, the 223 got an average velocity of 2677 feet per second, and the 5.56 got an average of 2633 feet per second. Keep in mind though that the 5.56 numbers were dragged down by a single oddly low reading. If we exclude it, the average is 2666. That's 11 feet per second difference, which leads me to believe that the powder charges must be identical in both the Triple G 223 and 5.56 loads. So how about the 20-inch barrel? Well, with the 223 we got an average of 3185 feet per second, and with the 5.56 we got an average of 3198. A whole 13 feet per second difference. Once again, as Paul Harrell says, not enough of a difference to make a difference. So if the velocities are the same, what is the difference between these cartridges? I assume just the case dimensions and price. The 5.56 labeled cartridges are about 4 cents more expensive per round, which can add up if you buy in bulk. So is there really a point to buying the 5.56 when you can buy the 223? I guess it would depend on your chamber. If you have a 223 wild chamber, you might get slightly better accuracy with the 223 cartridges, and if you have a dedicated 5.56 NATO chamber, then go for the 5.56. This benefit is theoretical though, and I haven't actually tested it, so take it with a grain of salt. That's just what I've heard. So is there really anything else to note about these cartridges? I would say yeah, this is extremely high quality ammunition for what you pay for it. Out of the 400 to 500 rounds total I've shot from goobers, gobblers, and gooners, not a single one has caused a malfunction or failed to fire. That's pretty solid, and none of the cartridges have had any dents or imperfections. In terms of precision, I am not a precision shooter, but I will say that I haven't noticed any inaccuracy with these cartridges. Definitely seems like Lithuania takes its quality control seriously. So in conclusion, very good ammo for the price. The only thing is, if you're able to get the 223 instead of the 5.56, you might as well save a few cents per round, since there isn't a huge difference between the two. But if you feel better having something labeled 5.56, then by all means, go for it. You're not going to be disappointed either way. Goblets, Gargoyles, and Goblins also makes a 308 load, which I have shot and will do a video on eventually, but I'm not really sure how it compares to other loads, because I just don't shoot that much 308. With that too, I will definitely do an actual, precision test on paper to show. But while ammo choice is important, fitness and training is also important. Even more so, I would say. Your $7 a round 5.56 load isn't going to save you if you can't run a mile, or if your marksmanship is dog shit. So make sure to train both, live your best life, and take care of yourself. See you guys.